What is going on, everybody? This is your man, Big B, Brian Hanley, along with Big G. We are coming in live today, man. We wanted to talk about this draft. We just felt it was important that we get some fresh reactions after the draft is over. We felt, you know what? Let's get some reactions to the NFL draft and let's get it live. Let's see what's going on. Let's see how we're feeling as Steeler fans, Big G. First off, man, how you doing?
Man, I'm great, man. I'm happy that the draft is over. I'm having a great morning this morning and sitting back and doing some real evaluation about what went on with our Steelers draft class and what we're going to do moving forward. But I feel good and I'm happy to be here with you and Steelers Almighty again this morning, man. I'm part of the crew, man. So we get out like that on a regular, bro. So I'm in here. Let's do what we do, bro. Let's do what we do.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. I feel good about it. We got our man Jason joining us here shortly. There he is. Jason from Mike Drop Sports. Jason, how you doing, brother?
Great, guys. How are you?
We're doing all right. Doing all
Yeah.
right. We're just
Sorry,
getting
I was in the wrong room.
No, you're all good. Don't worry about it. It's all good. We're just trying to get some live, fresh reactions. We got some members that are in. I'm going to recognize them. Our man Luke Cage, what's going on, man? Appreciate you being in here. Just doing just a fresh reaction to the
Mm.
2025 Steelers draft. Jason, first off, I'll start with you. Tell me your overall feelings about the draft.
Solid to good. I mean, they made some good moves. They didn't panic. They didn't reach. They picked best player available in some instances. They got a couple players that are immediate impact players, possibly. So overall, pretty good.
Yeah, that's kind of my feeling. I'm gonna come out in the draft grades, and just in case everybody, I'll have my draft grades tomorrow on Steelers Almighty. We'll have a podcast that we put together, so and let everybody know exactly where I stand on the grades of the Steelers. But you know, I kind of am the same way. I mean, I thought this was a good, a solid to good draft. You know, it wasn't spectacular by any means, but it was kind of what we thought. Build your roster in a smart way. Don't reach, like Jason said, and just kind of fill certain holes. I'll start with you, Big G. Who do you think the best pick of the Steelers draft was?
The need was the defensive line. I mean, so it has to be the number one pick. Harmon fills a huge gap for us. He's a definite starter day one for the Pittsburgh Steelers, and so the need. Now I like other picks, but the need was there at the defensive line. So you got to go with Harmon, man. Got to go with Harmon.
Yeah. What about you, Jason?
I agree with Big G, man. That's definite what they needed to do. They did it, and they found a couple good players there, and adding that depth, adding the ability to now be maybe a little bit more versatile, a little bit different in their combinations. So definitely that was my biggest thing too.
Yeah, I mean, and I've said this a couple of different times, and we talked about it. And at the very beginning of the offseason, everybody knew the Steelers D line is what we needed to do. We got run over the last half of the season, especially by the Ravens. It's like, okay, damn that, we need to get younger and better football players and bigger football players on the defensive line. Let's go out and do that. And then the speculation started, and then the rumor started, and then it was this, and then free agency happened, and we didn't get anybody in free agency as far as D line, big time names, I should say. And it's like, okay, what are we doing? What's going on here? And then all of a sudden, we come back to the draft, and you hear on draft week, it's like everybody, the rumors like, no, the Steelers are going D line. And it's like everything came full circle because we knew this is what we needed to begin with. I think people got thrown for a loop. I know I did. Kenneth Grant went early. Now, I kind of thought that he would get taken maybe like 18, 19. But it's a good pick for Miami. He went 13 to the Dolphins. I know a lot of people were a little bit upset by that, but I thought, I think we got an opportunity, man. I think we got an opportunity here. And Derek Harmon is a great, not a good. He was great in college. So I like the pick. Big G, do you think we addressed all the needs that we needed to?
I, from From an overall team aspect, no. I would have liked to get a swing tackle or legit offensive lineman to come in and service the Pittsburgh Steelers. I would have picked that maybe in the fourth round pick. But I think overall, we got what we needed because we needed depth in the defensive line. We needed a running back to replace Najee Harris. I think we got a steal in the seventh round with the cornerback. He would have went higher if he would have been 6'1", 6'2". I think we got a project quarterback in Will Howard. And my favorite player of the draft is Yaya Black. I mean, I love that kid, man. I think that he has the potential to be a Stephon Tuitt type player for the Pittsburgh Steelers because he's freaking huge. He's 6'7", 336 pounds. And people complain and say that he stands up a lot. I watched the film on Iowa. Yaya is a beast. So we got a steal out of him too. So the needs, yeah. But, I told you off air, I'm looking at what we've done from a composite standpoint of the Pittsburgh Steelers the last three drafts with Omar Khan and Andy Waddle. Have they built the 53-man roster in a position that whenever we decide to insert a quarterback, are we ready to contend? I think we're close. I think we're really close. It has to see based on the development of the kids in the last two drafts, because heck, half our draft class last year didn't even play. So, now if the draft class from last year inserts and plays and steps up with this class, are we in potential? Are we close enough to where we insert a quarterback? Are we ready to ride? And I think we're close.
Yeah. What do you think, Jason?
I don't think you ever get everything you need. You're constantly building, but they they took the right approach, and they have for the last several years. You build up front, build in the trenches, and they've done that, and they've done an excellent job of doing that while still adding to the rest of the team. So they'll never get everything, but definitely like a Wyatt Black, Derek Harmon. You just add so much, and I think this team will be ready when that day comes when you have a quarterback. So
Yeah.
definitely a good draft, and I think they've had a good draft for the last several. So they're building, they're heading in the right direction, and they're following a model like the Eagles, similarly, building in the trenches and being dominant.
Yeah, that's the thing for me. There's some yes and nos in the chat. Chat's kind of up and down on what we did, but for me, I think that the Steelers did fine. Like you said, Jason, you never address everything. I thought they could have went in a different direction and got an offensive lineman of some sort, maybe
Yeah.
round 5 or below, possibly even 4. But we're gonna run through these draft picks and we're going to talk about each one individually. Chat, if you guys are in here, man, we appreciate you guys. Thank you guys for being in here. Number 1, like and subscribe if you haven't already. 2, you know how you can help support the channel. Just if you want your comment, question, or rant up on the screen, super chats are wide open, man. We appreciate you all being in here this morning. Let's get this thing going. So, first pick, Derek Harmon out of Oregon. Had some medical issue or medical history things come up late, and again, I think that's posturing because it's not like he went and got MRIs and stuff at the end. On the Monday of the draft, none of that happened. I mean, these things have been out there, but you didn't hear about it until the Monday actually, it was Tuesday before the draft. You start hearing this stuff. My thing is Harmon can play up and down the line. He's versatile. He's like Cam Hayward as far as versatility. He's athletic. Nobody's the perfect football player. So I don't want anybody to think, oh, man, he's just perfect. Everybody has weaknesses. Having said that, he's exactly what the Steelers need, guys. Can play all 3 of the line positions in our 3-4, is a good pass rusher. He led the FBS in pressures from interior line last year. That means something. That means something because it's not always, you can't always get a sack. There's so many components to be able to get a sack, but if you can get pressure, that means you're doing your job, beating your man or maybe 2 men and getting back there. I love the Derek Harmon pick. What about you, Jason?
Balance, speed, strength, the ability to push through, two gapper stunt guy that can power his way into the backfield. collapse the pocket onto the quarterback, play the run, play the pass. This guy's a complete package, and the medical stuff didn't seem to be a concern for the Steelers. They have some of the world's best doctors in Pittsburgh, uh, and that's just a fact with the university hospitals there. Just a guy that's an immediate impact player, and like you said, plays up and down the line and can be used in different combinations. You have a lot of different players now with a lot of different skill sets, and that provides something unique that a lot of teams don't have. So Derek Harmon, strong beast, that's going to be an immediate impact player.
Right. Let me know what you think, Big G, about him.
Well, I mean, the bottom line is you're going to hear me say this a lot on all the different networks and places where I talk about Steelers football. I think the Pittsburgh Steelers took a hard look at production versus potential. There was a lot of players in this draft that had potentially they could just blow up. But the Steelers looked at players that were production at a high level in the college ranks. And now they bring a player like that that can be productive across the board for the defensive line for the Pittsburgh Steelers. And this is a kid that's a 3-down player too as well. A lot of those guys that might have been productive, you might have had to pull them off the field on this down or that down. But
Right.
his productivity at the collegiate level, man, he was a 3-down guy all the time at Michigan State as well as at Oregon. So I think that this kid, like I said, is a day one starter. Outside of even the injury concerns, I think he would have been maybe a top 15 pick. But, you know, with the injury concerns, he slid a little. But, man, if he's ready to roll, man, we got a 10-year starter. And we definitely have a kid that can come in and replace Cam Hayward as Cam gets long in the tooth and ready to, you know, move on. We got his replacement. So I'm happy for Harmon. Prayers actually for the Harmon family. You know, we heard the tragic thing that happened concerning his mother the night of the draft, man. And, you know, I'm really praying for this kid because I think now even more than ever, he's motivated to be a big-time player in the NFL based on it. So I like him. I think he's got high character, and I'm ready to go for him for the Pittsburgh Steelers, man. I think I'm going to go. We talked about getting a jersey. Man, I might have to get a jersey, man. Wearing another man's jersey name on your back is something else. But, man, this kid's story is unbelievable, man. So
It is.
Yeah.
It is a good story, man. It's a sad story, but I'm rooting for him. I'm absolutely rooting for him. I was checking out the chat. Chat, stay with us, man. Look, I get it. People are talking about Shedeur Sanders and all of that. Here's the thing. Shedeur Sanders is not on the Pittsburgh Steelers. He
That's
did not
facts.
get drafted by the Pittsburgh Steelers. And not only that, it wasn't that he didn't get drafted in the first round. We had multiple times to take him, and we didn't want to.
Mhm.
So he plays for the Browns. You got to turn that page, man. Just move on. Who cares?
Yeah.
He's not with us. We don't need to be talking about him until we play him if he's going to be the starting quarterback. Just move on. We got players. We got a team, and he ain't a part of it. In my personal opinion, I'm just tired of talking about it. I was tired yesterday. I'm like, the Steelers don't want him. So the Steelers didn't want him. Why continue to talk about him? And now he's on a different team, one of our rivals. It's just time to move on, man. It's just time to move on. So stay with us, chat, man. Stay with us. Next pick was Caleb Johnson out of Iowa. Now, Big G, me and you crashed out when they took him. When we were live, we crashed out when the Steelers took Caleb Johnson. Now, I came back the next day and said, you know what? I crashed out and I didn't need to. I didn't need to. Is that the simple fact was Caleb Johnson is a really good running back.
Yes.
He
Really
absolutely is a really good running back. I've mentioned it before. Nobody's perfect. He's got his flaws. You know, a lot of people are saying, well, he's like a Le'Veon Bell. And I'm like, hold on a second. Le'Veon Bell was outstanding in the passing game, whether it was run blocking, catching out of the backfield. Caleb Johnson is not that. He's good at zone, not good, very good, phenomenal in a zone blocking scheme, whether it's outside, end zone, or inside. He's very good at that, just like Le'Veon was. But let's not compare him to that because he can't do the things that Le'Veon Bell does. Now, he's not Najee Harris either, fellas, because Najee Harris was awful at running outside and inside scheme. I mean, he was awful at that. Caleb Johnson's a more fluid runner. He fits this scheme. But the reason that I didn't necessarily like the pick, he's a fine running back, is people are going down the rabbit hole of, well, he fits Arthur Smith's scheme. You're right, he does.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
But what if Arthur Smith is not the offensive quarterback next year? Like,
Mm.
he could be in 2025, but what if he's not the offensive coordinator in 2026? Then what?
Mm-hmm.
That's
Mm-hmm.
why I said there were better running backs that we could have taken, because part of coaching, yeah, he fits my scheme, but if this guy doesn't do it well, then you've got to be able to figure out what he does well and run that. That's one of the things that Arthur Smith didn't do with Najee last year, is that they
Mm-hmm.
just kept doing the things that he wasn't good at.
Mm-hmm.
Well, again, we drafted a guy that fits our system, which, okay, great. But in 2026, if Arthur Smith has moved on and we get a guy that the scheme he doesn't fit, then what?
Mm.
That's
Yeah.
my only thing, is that, you know, Big G, I thought there were other guys that were better, but I'm not mad at the pick because I think Caleb Johnson's a good running back.
I was biased, man. When I crashed out, I lost it. I was biased because I wanted the kid from Kansas State, man. I listen, when I start looking at when you start talking about players and potential versus production, some players you got to look at like the RAS score, which is raw athletic score, and look at how can this kid be explosive in the run game. Now, the kid from Kansas State ran a 4.4, whatever it was. And then I went back and I saw Johnson ran a 4.5, whatever. And I was like, we're just getting more of Najee, right? But then actually watching the tape, which, listen, once again, I'm going back to productivity versus potential. When you actually go look at the tape of Caleb Johnson and how he played in the Big Ten over the last several years, his productivity was outstanding. He had 295 carries with no fumbles. He's
Right.
one of two running backs in the Big Ten that did not fumble last year, the other being Travion Henderson. And he did not play in a team on a team that had an explosive offense. This is ground and pound, ground and pound, ground and pound. So if the kid can shows that he can hold up just getting 15, 20, 25 carries a game, he can do it. Now, and my thing is this: Najee's gone. Okay, he's on the Chargers. We had to get a player, not necessarily that was similar, but a player that could take that productivity and split it between him and Jalen Warren. I think this is a perfect fit for him. So giving him an opportunity, and listen, I'm lightweight sold on the kid because I think he can be better than Najee. Najee, it's just like he just didn't hit the hole or fit the hole. We watched this in all 22 film. It's like if he just had another step, okay, he breaks for 10, 15 extra yards. Now, Caleb Johnson's not a 50-yard. He's not going to break a 60-yarder or 50-yarder. Will he break a 30-yarder? Yep. Will he break a 40-yarder? Yep. Will he get strong in the hole when he needs to? Yep. So I like Caleb Johnson, man. I like him. Now that I had a chance to sleep on it, man.
Yeah, I like I said, I'd like him, and the only reason I was upset is I just thought there were better backs that were available that can do more.
Mm-hmm.
But you could be, I mean, there's a lot worse things that you can do versus having Caleb Johnson as one of your running backs. There's a lot worse draft picks that you can have versus a guy like him
Yeah.
in your backfield, man. So I think the Steelers are fine there. I just wanted somebody better. At
Uh-huh.
least in my opinion, that I thought was better. Let me get to this super chat before I get to you, Jason. It said search high and low for Big G all after yesterday. I know the crash out was epic. Yeah, it was. We did. We
Yeah.
did. But you know,
Yeah.
it is what it is. It is what it is. We moved on. So Jason, what do you think about Caleb Johnson?
In my opinion, I had him ranked as my fifth best runner in
Mm.
this draft. I was surprised he was there. Some of the numbers, maybe. Uh, I feel like he can produce 23 total touchdowns, 21 on the ground. I'd like to see more in the air, but Iowa didn't really pass the ball. But patient, decisive, can play the power game, but yet play the finesse game. He
Yeah.
allows blockers and blocks to develop in front of him. He doesn't rush the play. He had a 75-yard run last year. So all in all, size, strength, can break tackles, can be punishing in the second level. Uh, I think he got it all. I think he can produce. There may have been players better than him, no doubt. But I think overall, he's a guy that can come in and fit with what they have. And I think that's what the Steelers have done in this draft. They've put the puzzle pieces together, gained complementary players. And I think that was important. So he keeps his feet moving at all times. I just think this guy is going to be special or has the potential to be special. Sometimes he runs upright. He does some things that, slightly weaken his lateral movements and things. But again, overall, good player and a solid pick that can be somebody that produces, and he has a nose to score the football.
Mm.
He does. He has all of that. He's got a great nose for the football. Um, Caleb the Great is what our
I
man
like
M.
that.
Sparks are saying. Caleb the Great. Look, like I said, I think Caleb Johnson is going to be fine. And he doesn't have to come in. And I mean, we've got other running backs. It's not like we're drafting him day
Right,
one and say, okay, 350 carries for you. He doesn't have
right.
to do that, man. So I like where we're at. Like I said, I crashed out initially. I didn't like it because I thought there were other guys better.
Hmm.
But again, there's worse draft picks that you can have. And if in the pick for the Steelers, whether I like it or not, it's a good pick.
Yeah.
I don't have to like it. I can think that there were other guys, but don't tell me that this is a bad pick for the Steelers because that's not true. That's just my personal opinion that we're talking about. Now, again, in the passing game leaves a lot to be desired.
Yeah,
But maybe you got Jalen Warren for that.
Yeah.
And he can get better because the thing is at Iowa, he didn't get asked to do a lot of, pass pro. Didn't get asked
right.
to catch a ton of balls out of the backfield. So these are things that he's got to get better at. I think he will get better at. I think it's fine. I think it's fine, man. I think where we're headed is fine.
Hey,
Now in the
B,
fourth, go ahead.
I got a question just
Yep.
for both of you guys. Is the Steelers running back room better than it was last year today? Yes. That's my answer. Yes. I don't know about you two, but based on what we had last year, Cordell Patterson, Najee Harris, Jalen Warren, are we better today than we was last year? Yes. That's just my thinking. I don't know about you two, but that's my thinking.
I think the answer is yes. I think what Caleb Johnson maybe has as a weakness, I think the other two do. Jalen Moore and Kenneth Gainwell, they can play the third down, maybe be better in the pass pro, but maybe Caleb can develop into that. But
Mhm.
he could be a guy that comes in on first down and pounds that football and gets the tempo set. Uh, I think it's better.
Mhm.
Yeah, I definitely think it's better. I mean, but again, it just depends. I think a lot of people get mad or get down on Najee, and Najee is definitely better than what a lot of people believe that he is.
Mhm.
But it's just the fact. I just think a little younger, a little faster. Again, we're talking scheme as of right this very second.
Mhm.
Right.
He's a better fit for what the Steelers are doing in 2025. Who knows what they're going to be doing in 2026? But as of 2025, Caleb Johnson is a better fit. So the running back room, Big G, to answer your question, is definitely better.
Mhm.
Moving on. Now, the fourth round pick, I'm not going to get on board. Jack Sawyer, I'm not going
Yeah.
to get on board with this one. People can be mad. I think, first of all, I think Jack Sawyer is a good football player. I think
Mhm.
he is a good football player. There's no doubt about it. But in the fourth round, we don't need to be drafting a fourth outside linebacker because that's
Right.
what he's going to be. He's going to be a fourth outside linebacker. He can't play defensive end in our 3-4 scheme at 270 pounds. He is not near big enough to be able to do that. So he's going to be the fourth outside linebacker behind TJ Watt, behind Alex Highsmith, behind Nick Herbig. He's going
Right.
to be behind all of them.
Mhm.
Okay, that's fine. And he is a good depth piece. No, there's no doubt about that. But you have to also look at what are his limitations. He's
Mhm.
not athletic like we need our outside linebackers to be. That's going to translate to the NFL. He's not that athletic. Short arms, all the traits of a good outside pass rusher, they're physical traits. He doesn't have those.
Mhm.
So while he's a good football player, does he really fit what the Steelers need? Not to mention, we needed a corner, and Quincy Riley was
Right.
right there for us to take, and we didn't. I just didn't like it. Again, I think Jack Sawyer is a fine football player. I don't know. Some people said that, oh, well, they're going to draft him to trade Alex Highsmith. I go, if that's the move and that's really what the Steelers are thinking, they are out of their mind. I'm not
Mhm.
Amen.
saying you can't trade Alex Highsmith, but if you draft Jack Sawyer to replace Alex Highsmith, you're nuts, because he is not the same guy, has nowhere close to the athleticism, can't rush the passer like Highsmith, but it is what it is. But, Jason, I'll start with you, man. How'd you like this pick?
Not my favorite pick, but I don't hate the player. We
Correct.
could start with some of his weaknesses. Lack of bend. What
Yeah.
we've shown with TJ Watt, Alex Highsmith, Nick Herbig, those guys can bend and get around a tackle. He necessarily can't, missing some functional speed to push plays side to side. He doesn't have those types of things, but he played well in the big moments last year. 4.5 sacks, 6 pass breakups, and that was during that playoff run. He can set the edge. He has good move with that, able to hit that wrist and get around some of the blocks. But again, overall, good football player. But I think there was more pressing needs there. And I'm not sure where he fits or how he will fit in this system.
Mm, mm.
Go ahead,
B?
Big G.
Oh yeah. So listen, I'm not going to put on a bias cap. I'm going to put it because I'm going to be honest. I've watched, and known Jack Sawyer since he was a freshman at Ohio State University. People know that I have ties to the program, so I've watched this kid since he was a freshman. This is my question for Sawyer: are they going to bulk him up, and he's going to be like a Kiesel or Aaron Smith, or are they going to have him drop weight? Because I think he's a tweener right now, and he did what he needed to do for Ohio State in a 4-3 defense to go opposite of JTT. And Larry Johnson wanted him to be that edge rusher with his hand on the ground and go get the quarterback, right? That's what we saw him develop into. They wanted to turn him into the next Joey Bosa and Nicky Bosa at Ohio State. And I think that they bulked him up too much. So
Yeah.
I think in the NFL, you might see Sawyer drop weight. And I would love to see this kid played around 255, 260, because that's closer to his natural weight than bulking him up and playing like at a 280 and 285. So, but the athletic ability changes for Sawyer because that's the way he played in high school. Sawyer was not a defensive end in high school. Jack Sawyer was outside linebacker. And that was the whole rave of bringing him to Ohio State, because you have this chess piece that you can move him around any old kind of way. Well, that's not what Larry Johnson and Ryan Day saw. Larry Johnson and Ryan Day looked and they were like, okay, here's another Nicky Bosa, here's a Joey Bosa, here's a Sam Hubbard. This is a guy that we can take and bulk up, put all kind of weight on him, have him as a rush defensive end. So I'm very interested to see what the Steelers do with him. He definitely is a rotational player, but you're out of your mind if you're going to trade Highsmith and replace him with this kid at this stage in the game. I think it's one of those deals that, and B, I've told you this already. If he hits, the Steelers got an A draft. If he's in betweener and all whatever else, I got him with a B draft. So the pick is confusing, but it's the idea of what are they going to do with this kid? Are they going to bulk him up, or are they going to slim him down? Because I don't think he can stay at his current weight and play in the NFL. I just don't think he can do it.
Well, yeah, that's the thing in the 3-4 scheme. Now, here's to keep in mind: the Steelers are in nickel packages where they're just running 4 D linemen 58% of the time. Mm-hmm. So there's that. You also have to keep in mind. Let me get the super chat real quick. Jordan Review said a third string edge is a horrible choice. Mm-hmm. Here's my thing. I don't think it's a horrible choice. I just think that the Steelers had other needs they could have addressed. I see a lot of people in the chat are 100% correct talking about that he's Preston Smith's replacement. You're right. Yeah. But how did we get Preston Smith last year? He got cut, and we just picked him up off the street.
Yeah.
That's the replacement. The Steelers needed to use a 4th-round pick for that. Yeah. They didn't. They didn't need to. Again, Big G is correct. You bulk him up, and then he can play the 4-eye, the inside in our 3-4. Or you let him lose weight. The problem with losing weight, athleticism isn't going to change because you lost 20 pounds. Like your athleticism, now you could be a little bit quicker, but your athleticism isn't going to be any different, just because you lost some weight. It is what it is. Either you're an athlete or you're not. And the idea situation would be that he's an athlete at this weight. And I don't know. Again, he's a good football player, man. I'm not taking that away from him because you can't say
Yeah.
that he's not. But for
Yeah.
what the Steelers needed and then what he brings to the table, like, I get it. Herbig's not good against the run. Y'all have heard me say that a million
Oh,
times. He's bad
yeah.
against the run. Sawyer will be better against the run than he will.
Yeah.
Having said that, is that what you want our outside linebackers to be? Just good? Main thing to be good against the run, but can't get a pass rush, because it's going to be tough for him to get a pass rush.
Yeah.
So is that what we want? Paying all this money potentially to T.J. Watt because he's good against the run, or is it because you know what, he can get after the pass? Same with Highsmith. Both of those guys are outstanding against the run.
Yeah.
But they're getting paid because they hit the quarterback.
Yeah.
You know, that's why guys get paid. Guys don't get paid at outside linebacker / defensive end because they're great against the run. That's not why they get paid. So, while, like I said, good football player, just didn't like it here because I don't know. It just to me it just didn't make sense there, especially when we had cornerback that we needed, and there were good cornerbacks that were available. So let's move on here. Oh, we got another super chat here. Danny Littlejohn puts in, before we move on, says Steelers selected all Big Ten players except Dante. I mean, it's
Because a
little. I
bunch of
mean,
teams.
close. I mean, they did go all Big Ten. I mean, but I know that'll make Big G happy.
Well, why would you not? I mean, listen. Do you realize and know that the Big Ten had 111 NFL draft picks? The next closest conference was the SEC with like 79. The productivity concerning draftable players in NFL for really the last 2 seasons has been the Big Ten, i.e., why you have Big Ten national champions. So let's not get it twisted and say like it's all about SEC and SEC dominance. The draftable players in the last 2 drafts has been dominated by the Big Ten. So you're getting NFL caliber kids ready to move on to the next level from that conference. So you go where the talent is. Now, if it goes back up where the SEC starts jumping up and they got NFL draftable players, go back to the SEC and draft. But right now, the talent sits in the Big Ten, man. So you go get those guys to help improve your 53-man roster.
No, I agree. But I love the pick that the Steelers took a lot of guys out of a really good football conference. I love that idea. And I mean, you could do worse. A lot worse, than going to one of the top conferences and picking a bunch of guys. So productive guys. That's the thing. So
facts.
Moving on, man. To me, the next pick. Oh, go ahead, Jason.
I'm good. Go ahead.
Oh, to me, the best pick in the draft for the Steelers, just because of the value of where we got them, and the best pick in the draft was our 5th rounder, Yaya Black. And I believe that's how you pronounce his name. I heard a bunch of different. I'm going to say Yaya until somebody tells me differently. But either way, Yaya Black, I think, was the steal of the draft. He was our best pick. Big, stout against the run, plays nose tackle. We've been screaming that the Steelers needed a nose tackle. Well, here we got one. Dag nabbit, we got one. Somebody that can plays nose tackle, eats double teams like crazy. Look, Iowa had an outstanding run defense. They've had one forever. It was really, really good the last 2 years. Why? Because this man in the middle just said, you're not getting to our linebackers. I'm not going to let your guard chip off to our linebackers. Because if you try to leave, I'm going to be there to make the play because you can't single block me and you can't move me with your double team. You're just not going to be able to do it. I love the pick. I thought he was good. I just thought where they got him value, Jason, is incredible as a 5th round pick here as a nose tackle.
Oh, yeah. Just simply look at what the Steelers did with a guy like this, 7-foot wingspan, 6'6", 340 almost. I mean, just huge. Muddying up them interior lanes, just making things difficult, making you have to work for it, protecting those linebackers. But what all this does is protects that back end of the Steelers defense a little bit. Let them fly around and make plays. You don't have to load the box up when you got players like this. You can
Mm-hmm.
still play the run and not have to be crazy numbers inside. So, again, like you said, this guy can split the double team, muddy things up, and that's what the Steelers are looking for. A guy that can tackle, stop the run, and make things difficult, simply. So, sometimes maybe he lacks a little balance and things like that. But overall, I agree with you. This is probably one of the best picks in this entire draft, and the Steelers needed this size.
Yeah, yeah. Hey, B and Jason, man, I'm gonna tell y'all something, and I'm gonna catch flack for this. But I went back and started watching this film from 2 years ago when he had Campbell, the kid that played linebacker for the Detroit Lions, and he was trying to protect and keep guys off of him, right? And I watched him paired up next to Logan Lee, who's on our current roster, who didn't
Right.
get on the field last year and get a helmet for the Pittsburgh Steelers. I'm telling you what I see is Stephen Tuitt. I'm telling you what I see. I'm like, this kid, and he's bigger than Tuitt. He's freaking huge. And B, you talk about a guy that can go all up and down the line. He can play the zero technique on the nose. You can tilt him at an angle and say, look, I'm taking two. The guard and the center's got to block me. If not, I'm gonna kill the quarterback. Or you can listen, and certain down and distance things, you can put him outside because he's going to get there. He's freaking huge. And or the quarterback better be to throw it over the top of him. Because like he said, with a 7-foot wingspan, that's like Shaquille out there playing defensive end. You're not going to throw the ball over the top of this kid. You better put some wind on it. So I listen, for value, there's no way that we could have got a better pick in the 5th round for him. I was mad because I wanted certain guys. I was partial to like Farmer from Florida State. I was partial to Robinson. I saw those guys go off the board, and I was like, who has the Steelers been looking at this whole time? Oh, I forgot that they snuck back out to Iowa looking at Caleb Johnson. And when they saw Black, and then they seen him down at the Senior Bowl, oh, he was uncheckable at the Senior Bowl. Go look at the tape. He was uncheckable. He destroyed every offensive line that was down there. Everybody he lined up against, there was an offensive lineman in the Senior Bowl, in the practices, and all whatever else. He destroyed them. So yeah, run Black to the table. And the kid's going to get a lot of playing time. I love our rotation on the defensive line, man. Our rotation is finally better. It's actually serviceable to say that we're not going to get blown out by teams by them just holding on to the ball and running at us. They're going to come up off the field because this kid's going to make some tackles, and he's going to put a hurting on some dudes. So, and B, you know how I feel about big boy Derrick Henry. Big boy Derrick Henry, get ready to meet big boy Black in the hole, bro, and it's going to get ugly over there. So, yeah, let's go. Let's go with Black, man. I love this pick for the Steelers, man.
He
Yeah,
had one of my favorite plays where I can't remember who it was against, like Nebraska or Wisconsin or somebody like that, where he just shot himself like a missile and blew everybody up, sacked the quarterback, and it just showed the power and just how much he can do. It was just an amazing play.
Yeah, I think he could be a difference maker. While I think he can play up and down the line, I think they're going to concentrate and just keep him on the nose here, which they should. They should. That's
Right.
what we've been needing. Let's do that. We got a good question here from Danny Littlejohn with the super chat. Big G. Well, I mean, I'll ask you, but fellas, are you surprised that no O-line was taken yesterday?
Yeah.
Big G, I'm real surprised. Big G and Jason, I'm super surprised. I thought somewhere along the line the Steelers would take an offensive lineman because you know my philosophy. You never stopped investing in the offensive line. A tackle, a guard, a center, whatever. And they didn't do that. And that surprised me a little bit. And I know they've signed a couple of free agents here and there, but I just at some point I just thought, man, the Steelers are going to take a tackle. Another thing that comes to mind is, we talk offense a lot. The Steelers only took two offensive players in the draft. Now, one thing I will say is we had a second round pick. It was DK Metcalf.
Facts.
So people can't forget that is what our second round pick was. It was DK Metcalf. That's big time. But Big G, what do you think about the Steelers not taking an O-lineman?
I think that the guys that they wanted from the offensive line from a 3rd and 4th round standpoint were taken early. I mean, Fairchild from Georgia, I know the Steelers was looking at him tough, and he went. And then Vincent, the kid that they thought that they'd beat us steal in the 6th or 7th round from Alabama A&M, whose RAS score was off the hook. That kid ended up going in the 3rd or 4th round because he had a run at offensive tackles. And remember, I told you 3 tackles was going in the first 10, but there was 9 offensive linemen, by the way, which is an NFL record, taken in the first round of this draft. So the priority went high as far as what the Steelers were looking at from position. And when like Fairchild came off the board, the offensive tackle from Alabama A&M came off the board, the Steelers was like, nah, the value's just not there. So I understand it. I get it. But I still wish that they would have took an opportunity. I was impartial. I wanted one of those 7th-round picks to be Seth McCollum, the swing center guard for Ohio State. I thought he was great at Alabama and Ohio State, but they didn't take him. So I get it. But we're just going to have to either continue to build in free agency or let the kids that we currently have develop. Fautano did not play last year, ladies and gentlemen. So he's literally like a first-round draft pick. So let's see what Fautano, McCormick, Siamalu, Frazier. Let's get Jones in his right position, and let's see what we got from there.
Yeah. I think they're putting a lot of faith into what they currently have, and rightfully they should. They're high-value draft picks, man. So I would have loved to seen some depth added there, no doubt about it. Maybe like instead of the Jack Sawyer pick, maybe they add a lineman there. But again, I'm a little bit shocked. But they have heavily invested in the last 2 drafts. But you always go there. You always go offensive lineman at least somewhere. But I was a little shocked. Again, that's a place you always go. Defensive trenches, offensive trenches. So we'll see what happens. But we are now in the part of the year to where maybe you find a veteran somewhere to add some depth. Maybe that's something they do. But we'll have to see. And again, a lot of faith in this young group that they have in place.
Gotcha. Super chat coming in here by Throat Puncher. Says, salutes, brothers. Tell me what it could look like with amazing Mason Rudolph as the starter. How do you guys think it will flow? Mason ain't bad at all. I mean, I've said it since we signed him back. If Mason Rudolph happens to be the Steelers starter, I think they can win 9 or 10 games. Doesn't mean they will, but I think that's the potential. I think that's the ceiling, 9, 10 wins for the Steelers. I think they've done some moves. If the line just plays average, like I said before, if the line plays average, I think the Steelers are going to have an okay season. Give him some time when he needs time. I think they'll be fine. But if the line doesn't play good and it doesn't gel and guys just aren't good, we could be in for something. So, but Mason Rudolph, like I said, he's not great. I don't think he wins us a playoff game. It doesn't get us to the Super Bowl. Doesn't mean that can't happen. But for me, I think it's fine. I think what Mason Rudolph would bring to the table will be 9 or 10 wins. What do you think, Jason?
I think he can win. I think he can win 10 games too, just like you. Maybe a playoff game, probably not a Super Bowl, but I think it's dependent on a lot of things. How does that run game work? How does that O-line go? How does this scheme fit Mason, especially with the new weapon in DK Metcalf? Are we able to utilize the middle of the field? I just think there's a ton of variables at play there. But overall, Mason's solid. I think he can get it done. He's not elite, but he's good. He's all right. I think he gets you to 2026 and maybe you find somebody better. But overall, I still don't think he'll be the starter. I think Aaron Rodgers will be there, but I don't think it would be a bad thing to go with Mason Rudolph.
Yep. What do you think, Big G?
I agree 100%. I mean, the issue is that Mason's a serviceable backup as far as NFL is concerned. But the issue is, listen to what Omar Khan and Mike Tomlin said prior to the draft. We will have 4 quarterbacks. We have 3. They're waiting on 12. Will 12 help us more than Mason Rudolph? Absolutely. So, and I know he's older, and I know he's a diva, and I know all the different things that people say about 12. But 12 gives us a better opportunity to win than Mason Rudolph. Mason Rudolph could win 9, 10. 12 might be able to win 11 or 12 if he plays healthy and is able to gel with the camaraderie with the Pittsburgh Steelers organization. But this whole thing, B, me and you have been talking about this for weeks. The line's got to improve. If the line's not right, I don't care who they run. They could run Patrick Mahomes out there at freaking quarterback. He's going to get mauled if you don't have offensive line. So this whole thing depends on the improvement of our young offensive line that we have in Pittsburgh.
Yeah. I like I said, I think it all hinges on the line. But I was surprised they didn't pick one yesterday. Not necessarily to be the starter, but hell, you don't know. We took Mason McCormick last year in the 4th round, and nobody thought he was going to be the starter. They drafted him as a developmental piece, and he ended up starting 14 games because he
Yeah.
got thrust into a situation when James Daniels got hurt. So
Uh-huh.
I don't know. A lot of people look. There's no doubt. Mason McCormick hit a wall last year. He hit that rookie wall. He fell off. His technique wasn't good all year long, but hopefully, with a little bit of work and him understanding what National Football League is all about, he can take a step forward. I think it's him and Broderick. If those
Mhm.
guys take steps forward for the Steelers' offensive line, we got something, fellas.
Yeah. Yeah,
Got
we
something.
do. Yeah. Yep.
Moving on here. Next pick in the 6th round. People have been screaming about it forever. They wanted him in the 3rd, 4th. The Steelers waited till the 6th, and he was still available. Will Howard out of Ohio State, but played more football at Kansas State. I'm just going to throw that in there, Big G. But so Will Howard goes to the Steelers. Um, I haven't heard. There's a few people out there that don't like it, but it's a 6th round pick. People are saying it's a wasted pick. I'm like, a wasted pick in the 6th round when the guy was projected to go in the 4th? That doesn't make sense. You don't have to like Will Howard. You don't have to think he's great because I don't happen to think he's great. But Big G in the 6th round, the value is undeniable. And if he can develop into something, you found one.
Yeah. We stole one, actually, to be honest. And,
Yeah.
let me say this, B, you are absolutely correct. He did play more at Kansas State. And go back and look how he looked at Kansas State against Texas, against the big boy programs. He destroyed them. Every time he played them, destroyed them. He comes to Ohio State. Now, the issue was, and everybody makes point to this. Look at the talent that he played with at Ohio State. I mean, heck, Quinshon Judkins, Travion Henderson, Jeremiah Smith, Emeka Buka, Carnell Tate. He played with killers. Okay, we know that. But talent in the NFL is very similar to that. If you look at his wide receiving core that he had at Ohio State, look what he's going to walk into in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania with George Pickens, DK Metcalf, Calvin Austin III, Roman Wilson. He's got dogs he's playing with. He's got 2 dog running backs he's going to play with. So I don't think the spotlight will ever be big for Howard. And bottom line is, he's a huge man. He's 6'4", 6'5", 240 pounds. And I'm telling y'all, he runs a legit 4.5. That kid can move. And like that RPO game where he's got to pull it and turn the corner, you can count it. And he's got a nice arm. He's actually got a big arm, right? So the issue is, can he continue to develop as a pro? Because we saw what he did moving from Kansas State to come to Ohio State up underneath Ryan Day and how he developed as a quarterback. I'll still say, I don't care what nobody say, he was concussed against Michigan. That's why he looked horrible. But go back and look at his playoff run against the biggest competition in college football. He killed everybody he played. He destroyed everybody he played. So I'm digging Will Howard. I think he's our backup and waiting, but develop the kid because he could be more than a project. Not Josh Allen, but could become a starter in the NFL. I believe it. Now, I might be wrong, but I believe it, B.
Yep. What do you think, Jason?
I agree. I'll piggyback off of some of what Big G said. Great size. But what stands out the most to me about Will Howard is he got consistently better. Not just consistently better in regular moments, in the biggest moments on the
Yeah.
national stage. MVP of the national championship game, if I'm correct. I think that's what happened. Uh, but good base in the pocket. I think he has enough arm strength. I think he can get it done. And like Big B said, that RPO game, good in short yardage. He's going to score the football. Um, Definitely a good guy, good player. Again, I think he can do some things that maybe some other kids can't or some other young men can't. He can throw off platform, which is really cool to have. Everybody can't do that. So, um, definitely, I think it was a solid pick. I don't think it was a wasted pick. I think
No.
there's potential there. Probably a backup for a while, but maybe he gets that chance and he never lets it go. Um, we've been wanting a quarterback that's big and tough and can move around and manipulate the pocket. And here's your guy. So we'll see what happens. We'll see how he grows.
Yeah,
Mm,
my thing is that Will Howard has been there before.
Right.
He won a Big 12 championship with Kansas State, comes to Ohio State, wins a national championship when basically the pressure was all on him because
Hmm.
Ohio State fans and everybody nationally, the media thought Ohio State has enough talent outside of the quarterback to win a national championship. Will he have enough talent and be able to make enough plays, get the ball to people where they can actually do things and go win? Well, he was able to do that. The
mm-hmm,
reason that I like him, there's a lot of people that love Justin Fields out there. Going back and doing the all 22s of the entire football games that I'm doing right now, that, by the way, if you are a member of Steelers Almighty, you can check out the all 22s. Make sure you guys do that and sign up if you're not a member. But going back and looking at that, Justin Fields never trusted his eyes. He
mm-hmm,
saw guys that were wide open, about to be open, and he just wouldn't pull the trigger. You're not going to have to worry about that about Will Howard. Will
mm-hmm,
Howard will throw the football. He reads defenses outstanding, as somebody in the chat had put. He reads defenses great. He anticipates throws. Now, he doesn't have the biggest arm. I'm not saying that. He's not the fastest guy. He's a 4.85 guy. Okay, but he's athletic enough. He can get outside the pocket enough. He can do all those things, but he's not going to be able to throw the football. And one thing that I know Steeler fans are going to appreciate, Will Howard will throw the ball over the middle of the field. He
mm-hmm,
doesn't give a damn.
mm,
If the route means and somebody's going to be open over the middle of the field in between the hashes, Will Howard's throwing that football. We're not going to have to deal with Russell Wilson never throwing it over the middle, Justin Fields not trusting his eyes. Now, look, this is if Will Howard gets on the field.
mm-hmm,
I don't think he's going to. I think Will Howard's a project. I think he's a guy that could be a solid backup in this league, kind of like a Mason Rudolph, solid backup, spot starter. But I think he's got more ability than Mason Rudolph. I think
mm-hmm,
his upside is bigger than Mason Rudolph's. So if you can tap into that, you found something in the 6th round. Doesn't mean it's going to happen, no, but I think he's got better potential than what a Mason Rudolph is. Where Mason Rudolph went in the 3rd, Will Howard in the 6th. I just love the pick, guys. I love the pick. Again, I wasn't the highest guy on Will Howard, but in the 6th round,
Yeah.
yeah, absolutely. I mean, again, it's all about value, man. It's all
mm-hmm.
about value.
I have a question for you guys.
Yeah.
When I was watching his tape a little bit, do you think he'll struggle when he's throwing that out route against highly athletic NFL cornerbacks? It just seemed sometimes a little bit slow. I know Big G, you watch these guys all the time. Do you think that's something he's going to struggle with? I couldn't really decide whether he would or he wouldn't.
At Ohio State, so Ohio State is Ryan Day's offense is different than a lot of things that you see in the NFL because Ryan Day actually reads from the inside out versus the outside in. The famous play in the NFL is spider 2 wide banana. You're looking for the first outside seam, you're looking for the seam routes, and then you're looking for the back out of the backfield. But you're taught don't throw the ball late back because if you do, that's a pick 6, right?
Right.
Well, Ohio State's offense damn near teaches the opposite. I promise you it does because the deal is that they have so much talent on the outside that you might be able to throw a back shoulder pass to the outside wide receiver on a curl route or a comeback route, which in the NFL that's going to get picked. So there's where the development aspect comes because I didn't see him struggle like that at Kansas State. And he had way less talent concerning the wide receiver room than he did at Ohio State. So that's just a matter of coaching it, putting him in position to make the right play, because I don't think he's going to throw it late on backside shoulder routes or curl routes coming back to the quarterback. But like B said, in the middle of the field, he's going to throw a dot. He's going to hit DK Metcalf and Jeremiah Smith is the same freaking player. Right now, George Pickens is different, but he had that talent with Cornell Tate and Emeka Buka. He's seen this before, So what I'm telling you, he's going to dot a guy up in the middle, and he loves tight ends too. He made Gee Scott almost a draftable NFL player. And Gee Scott struggled at Ohio State University. So now with Move in Washington, oh my God. Yeah, this kid's not going to be scared to throw the ball nowhere in the middle of the field. And Jason, he will tuck and run that bad baby.
Yeah.
Like I'm talking about when it breaks down, he's going to pull it down and be like, you can't freaking tackle me. I'm bigger than you are. So yeah, go with Will Howard. Go with the project.
Here's
Go with
the
the
last
project.
thing I'll say about Will Howard before we move on is Will Howard, when you think about him, he's a bigger Brock Purdy. Brock
Facts.
Purdy is the product of having a lot of talented guys around him. And when he's got talented guys around him, he can make the plays, damn it.
Yeah.
If he doesn't have a lot of talent, he's not the greatest quarterback. Well, look, and I saw 4 years of him at Kansas State because I went to Kansas State. I watch him all the time. And Will Howard was pretty good, but like Big G said, they didn't have near the talented roster in general that he had at Ohio State. He looked like a totally different quarterback with more talented players. Now, don't get me wrong, the NFL has nothing but talented guys, but at the same time, if you give him weapons, he will be able to make plays for you. You got to give him weapons. But, if you go in with a limited offense and limited weapons, I don't know that he's going to look the great. But, Jason, you had a good point as far as him struggling throwing the out route. He did that at Kansas State, but that was more a product of schematics, and the offensive system and what they were asking him to do. Kansas State didn't have a lot of stuff going over the middle. It was predicated on throwing the ball outside and outside the numbers. Well, good teams scout that, and they understand that. So at Ohio State, they did a lot of different stuff, and he didn't have any problems throwing the ball over the middle of the field. So I love the pick. Thought it was great. Let's move on here. Carson Bruner, linebacker out of Washington, legacy pick. Yeah. Legacy pick. Mark Bruner's a former Steelers tight end.
Yeah.
Here's another one. It's a depth piece for sure, but 6'1", 227, and the guy's an inside linebacker. Jason, I don't know, man. Safeties are that size, and he's playing linebacker. I just don't know, man. I just don't know.
It is what it is, but the 6th, 7th round, that's kind of the Danny Smith area where you're looking for special teams players, I guess. He's a good tackler. He got good eyes, reads well. He's just far too undersized to be in every game, every down type player. So we knew he was going to get picked by the Steelers.
We did.
His dad's a scout. We knew it was going to happen.
Yeah.
I'm not thrilled with it. It is what it is.
That's a Mike Tomlin special. He keeps families together. He'll do legacy stuff. That is a Mike Tomlin special. Look, I'm not in the business of the Steelers, just kind of wasting picks. And I almost feel like that's what this is, because guys that are 6'1", 227, those guys are playing middle linebacker. Those guys are phenomenal athletes, and they're getting picked in the 1st and 2nd round because of how athletic, how much they can run, jump, all those things. Well, now we got a 6'1", 227 guy that got picked at the end of the draft, which means he doesn't have all that athleticism. You're right. He's a good tackler, but I don't know. I love your analogy, Jason. The Danny Smith type special teamer. If he makes the squad, that's what this pick felt like to me. I don't know about you, Big G. What do you think?
Well, let me ask this question. Well, I must make this statement. Cole Holcomb, 6'1", 240.
Yeah.
And so this kid's a little bit smaller than Cole Holcomb, and he puts me in the mindset of a Cole Holcomb. Cole Holcomb made fame in Miami because he was a special team player that got an opportunity to get on the field, and he became a tackling machine downhill 24/7. If you go put the tape onto this kid, he's a tackling machine downhill 24/7. He's downhill all day, every day, and he will come up in the gap and smack you. He's not scared. I don't care who he's running up against. So I think he's a special teams guy right away. I'm not saying this kid's a starter, but he plays just like freaking Cole Holcomb. Go back and watch Cole Holcomb in the tape in Miami. Watch him in the pro. It's the same dude. It's just he's a little bit smaller.
Right,
So,
but
but
that 13 pounds in the National Football League at middle linebacker means something.
hey,
It
man,
means something. I'm with you as far as he plays like Cole Holcomb, but 13 pounds is a lot when we're talking about middle linebacker.
And can he cover? In today's NFL, you got to be able to cover
Yes.
at the linebacker position. So can he do that? Does his sideline to sideline speed? Is it good enough? I agree with Big G. It could happen, man. You never know.
Of course, anything can happen.
Guys that can
Absolutely.
tackle well. There's always room for those guys.
yeah,
I guess you see. I think what I worry about the most is that coverage and that sideline to sideline speed, and just being athletic enough and being able to shed players to be able to even make plays.
yeah. He needs
Yeah.
to start eating cheeseburgers. Like,
Yeah,
like every meal for breakfast needs to include a cheeseburger. You know,
Mhm.
absolutely.
matter of fact, a double cheeseburger with everything. I'm talking about breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and a snack before he goes to bed needs to be a double cheeseburger special, right?
Yeah.
So, and that we're gonna get the weight on the kid. So get the cheeseburgers, man. Start hitting cheeseburgers. You're gonna be all right.
Yeah, absolutely. I just like I said, I don't fault the kid. I'm just not sure that he can do what you need to be able to do at his size to be an NFL linebacker. We'll find
Mhm,
out. Last pick of the draft for the Pittsburgh Steelers, Dante Kent, cornerback out of Central Michigan.
mhm.
Um, Look, he was a three-time All MAC player, defensive player of the year in the MAC. I was talking to my buddy offline, actually our producer, and we're like, after 2 years of being an all MAC defender, all league guy, wouldn't you think this guy would have transferred and said, you know what, I've dominated this league. It's time for me to move up somewhere and see if I can dominate at a higher level. He didn't do that. Now, you commend him for being
Yeah.
loyal, being loyal to his school, to his
Mhm,
team, to his teammates, coach who put the time and effort in. But with rules the way that they are, you
mhm,
know, I wouldn't have faulted him if he moved up, but he didn't.
mhm.
But I also think, at 5'10, 187, I think if he's 6 foot, 187, I think we're talking about a third round draft pick here. I think those 2 inches, are the difference here. But I think we may have stolen somebody that, because number one, he's a tackler, and you know how we like our corners to be able to tackle. I like it. Doesn't have a lot of picks. That's not his specialty. He kind of doesn't trust his eyes a lot of times when it comes to interceptions. But if he can continue and be a good tackler, obviously he's going to be good on special teams, or he should be anyway. But if he can
Mhm,
tackle, his coverage skills are there. It's a good pick for the Steelers.
mhm. I think he's gonna fight for that nickel corner position. That listen, they
Mhm.
got three options at that nickel. Eccles, Beanie Bishop, this kid. And
Yeah,
this kid's a ball hawk, man. I mean, listen, you're right. If he would have been 6 foot, he would have went in the draft before Denzel Burke. Denzel Burke was one of the last corners that was that top tier, top playing corner. And I live right in the middle of Mac country. I literally live in the dead center of Mac country. And so I got to saw him play. And against teams that pass the ball a lot, oh, he was more than serviceable. So
yeah,
is he a special teamer? I think he's a gunner. I think he's a legitimate gunner on the special teams where he's going to go down and just blast somebody because he can tackle. So, but can he develop? That's always the question. When you get a guy late in the sixth, late in the seventh, can they develop? And that's where you start seeing potential. I mean, productivity over potential. His productivity at Central Michigan University was outstanding.
yeah,
So you have to take a kid based on their productivity or production versus saying, "Oh, we can mold this kid and he can become something." That doesn't work in the NFL. So if you're going to have a seventh round kid pick on your roster, on a 53-man roster, what does he do from a productivity standpoint? Well, this kid has productivity, so I like him, B. I like him a lot.
Yeah, I agree. I think he can make the 53 man by just being a good special teamer, punt
Mhm.
returner, kick returner, gunner. That's got to be what he does great initially. But tough kid. He does something really well too that a lot of people don't do. He can make up ground. So he gets beat a little bit. He can make up that ground with his athleticism. 47 passes defended. So uh, Definitely, I think he could be a contributor. I think he could compete, but what's going to separate him is what separates a lot of seventh round talents. That's being able to play for Danny Smith and those special teams.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Being versatile is going to be key. Nickel can be his specialty. That's fine. But he's going to have to be able to play special teams. He's also going to have to be able to play outside, too. The
Right,
more
yeah.
versatile, when you're a seventh rounder, the more versatile that you can be, the better off that you're going to be able to make the team. So if he can do those things, and then again, some of the traits, start trusting his eyes a little more when it comes to interceptions. You see what's happening, just go fire. And a lot of times he would see it, he'd be in position, but he just didn't fire quick enough because it was almost like, yeah, I don't know. I know what he's going to do. Let me just wait another half second. Oh, yeah, he did throw the ball. Okay, I'll go make a play or I'll go make a tackle. So I like this kid. Again, I don't know if he's going to make the 53 man, but he just might. He just might. As a reminder, everybody, man, again, tomorrow we're going to have draft grades out on Steelers Almighty. We're going to have our draft grade podcast. Lord have mercy. It's been a long 4 days, man. So
Yes.
we'll have that out tomorrow for everybody so you guys can take a dip in there. Make sure you guys are also hitting that like button. If you haven't hit the like button in here, make sure you hit the like button. We appreciate that. Guys, overall, let's just talk about it again. From top to bottom, what do you think, Jason? Do you like the draft? Is it something that the Steelers can work with? Again, a lot of defensive guys where we may have thought. Is there one? Let me ask this question specific. Was there an area that you believe that the Steelers could have addressed and they didn't?
Offensive line, no
Yeah.
doubt. I think there could have been a pick here or there that late in the draft that maybe gives you a little depth that you didn't have. But that's the only real knock I can give on it. But what Omar Khan and Andy Weidel have done over these last 3 years has to be praised. And I know we don't know the true outcome just yet. We're going to need 2 or 3 years for each draft class to see the true impact. But overall, this is pretty damn good, and I'm not mad at it. And we can nitpick it, but overall, I'm thrilled.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What about you,
Facts.
JB?
I agree with Jason. I mean, we eventually, if Jones is not that guy, we're going to have to find the tackle to fill for him. But you have to give him an opportunity to play the right position first.
Right.
So if we could have got a player, maybe it's that tackle or the swing tackle that would have played behind Jones and Fautano. But overall, what the Steelers did is they built the 53-man roster. Listen, I remember, I'm old enough to remember the times when the Steelers 53-man roster would cut a guy and they wouldn't even make it through waiver claims. A team would pick them up. I think we're headed that way. We're headed to where we have, especially in those trenches, offensive line, defensive line, maybe now in the defensive backfield. If we cut a guy, they're not going to clear. Once they clear waivers, somebody's going to pick them up right away. So we have to do that because the goal is to be able to insert the quarterback whenever the quarterback comes along. And I'm always on the side, and you're going to hear me say it over and over and over again. Give me productivity over potential. High ceiling, you can talk that mess all day and night. I want a dude that's going to produce because production helps me win. So I like all the guys we got. They're high character guys. They're high production guys. Let's roll with it, man. Let's go. I'm optimistic, now, very much so, for this 2025 season. I might have been pessimistic a little bit before, but I'm very optimistic moving forward with the Pittsburgh Steelers in 2025.
Right. Yeah, I think it's a big opportunity here. Let's take a look at some of the undrafted free agents that we have. Sebastian Castro, safety from Iowa. I think he's another one that I think has an opportunity to make the team as a slot corner.
Mm-hmm.
That's another guy, that I like him. I like how he plays. He kind of reminds me a little bit of our man Watts last year that didn't get an opportunity, who got hurt.
Yeah.
So we'll see. J.J. Galbraith at tight end, Ben Sauls, the kicker out of Pitt. I mean, look, he's a camp body. We don't want to wear out Boz's leg in camp. Let's just be honest about it. Rock Taylor, wide receiver out of Memphis. Now that one, keep your eyes on that one. Keep your eyes on that one. Did you have something on him, Jason?
No, I haven't done a lot of work on them just yet, but
Right.
my initial gut check, Rock Taylor's probably my favorite so far.
Yep. Yep. The thing about it is 6'2", and can fly. Just keep
Mhm.
your eye on that guy. I don't know, again, if he's going to make the roster. I'm just saying keep your eye on him. DJ Thomas Jones, tight end out of South Alabama. Aiden
Mhm.
Williams, a guard. There's some of our pieces right there. Maybe a
Yeah.
guard. We'll see. 6'6", 314. Minnesota Duluth. Lower level football, but that doesn't mean he can't play.
Yeah.
And then Keyshawn Williams, wide receiver out of Indiana, kind of small and stocky a little bit. I mean, 5'9", 188. We'll see what happens, but I think Steelers got a chance. I think overall, again, I'm not going to give out my grades. I'll give those out tomorrow. You'll see, but I think they did fine, man. I think it was a pretty good draft to put this thing, kind of on a bow here. Um, there's a lot of picks. Look, there obviously they no, there. I shouldn't say there's no perfect draft because maybe there is.
Mhm.
Steelers draft wasn't perfect,
Mhm.
but it accomplished what we needed to accomplish. Coming into this, look, if we're being honest, there was no quarterback out there that you were going to say, hey, let's go build our franchise around this guy. That didn't
Mhm.
exist in this draft at all. So
Mhm.
since it didn't exist, go build your roster so you can have a better football team. So when you get your quarterback, then you have a good football team around them. And that's
Mhm.
what the Steelers did. They did that. Is that, hey, we're going to build the roster up, get guys in the positions where we need to get them, and then when it's time to go get a quarterback, we'll be better.
Mhm.
Okay, great. This draft just didn't it wasn't there, and I am proud of the guys for not reaching for guys. Because we
Mhm.
did it 3 years ago with baby Hans Pickett. We reached when we knew he was a third round talent, but hey, we need a quarterback, so we took one. 2 years
Mhm.
later, he's not even on a damn roster. He's about to get cut by the Cleveland Browns. So
Mhm.
that's what I'm talking. There's no reason for you to reach when the talent isn't there, man. So, any last words from either of you? I'll start with you, Jason.
No, thanks for having me. Solid draft, long 4 days here. So
Yeah,
just try to unwind and really look into this here this week and see exactly if maybe my thoughts change on anything. But overall, again, great time. Happy to be here with you guys.
yes,
Appreciate it.
no problem. Tell everybody where they can find you at, Jason.
Come on over to YouTube here on Mike Drop Sports. Check us out. Come join some live shows and some pre-recorded stuff. But come on over and join the conversation at Mike Drop Sports.
Gotcha. Big G, any final thoughts, man?
Man, I listen. I once again, I think they did an outstanding job with building the 53-man roster. One of the things I know we didn't talk about, and we'll probably talk about this on the big show. We didn't mortgage our future by reaching for a quarterback, and we didn't get off of any of those future draft picks that we have moving into 2026, which I mean sets us up perfect for 2026 to really do some serious damage concerning getting maybe the quarterback that we need if we don't have it, right? So,
Right.
but overall, I'm proud of the Steelers, man. I listen. I went through the Kevin Colbert years. You know, those last Kevin Colbert years was horrible. You know,
Tough.
and now we're seeing Omar Khan, Andy Waddle put it together, try to build the roster. You know, and like I said, I was on that 9 or 10 win. Hey man, if 12 shows up, we might got a chance to do something in the playoffs, man. We'll see. We got to wait and see what he's going to do. But I'm excited, man, and I appreciate, man, just being able to come in and just doing a review with Jason. Jason, nice meeting you. First time I ever met you,
Yeah,
man.
thank you.
Nice
Thank
meeting you,
you. Nice
bro.
meeting you, man.
Yeah, and B, you know how we get out every week, bro. We get out every week, man. Me and you. So
Absolutely.
yeah,
Absolutely. Well, man, look, I appreciate both of you guys being in here, taking the time out on a Sunday. It's been a long 3 days, man. It has. But you know what I like about this, guys? The offseason's freaking over. We can
yeah.
finally start talking about football and fits and schemes and the stuff that I really like talking about versus having to deal with and dabble into rumors and speculation and all that. Let's just talk football. And that
Mhm.
right now, it looks like we're going to get to start talking football. So appreciate you guys. Hey, man, everybody out there, remember, go subscribe if you haven't subscribed to the channel, Steelers Almighty. If you want to become a member and get perks, you saw that we brought up people that were members on here. Make sure you go do that. We got several different levels. If you want to get the all 22 breakdown that we do of every single game, you know, there's a level, 4th level or higher to be able to get that. We appreciate everybody being in here. Thank you, guys. We will talk to you soon. Remember, tomorrow we'll have the draft grades. Talk to you. Aloha.